Hi friends, today I want to share with you a few tips and tricks around the padded satin stitch. This is a video that was live streamed in my Facebook group called Embroidery Patterns with Makenstitch. Keep watching. I wanted to do a short live stream, just making a small demonstration on the padded satin stitch. And this is closely related with the pattern we are stitching together via email. If you see here, the padded satin stitch will be used when stitching the letter. Regardless the letter you will be stitching, you will be using same technique. First of all, let's see what is the padded satin stitch for someone who never stitched before. The idea is under the, as you see here in the letter, so this is a raised shape. This satin stitch is basically stitched on top of a padding. This padding consists basically on a layer, as you see here, on a layer under the satin stitch that makes your shape to be raised and create really nice shadows and a three-dimensional effect. I went on before, just I didn't want to keep you too long with this video. What I did, I first outlined my shape. In my case, it's just a small sample here, and then I filled it with a split stitch. Now the padded satin stitch can be, this padding can be stitched in many ways. You can fill this padding with straight stitches or split stitch as I did. Now when stitching, if you're stitching my pattern, the floral alphabet, the problem here is, as you see, the letters are really big, and filling this with long straight stitches would be really hard to do, hard to fill. Like a straight stitch this size, I don't think it would look good, so it's totally fine. You can use the split stitch. Now a few rules with the padded satin stitch. First of all, the padding, so this layer that sits under the satin stitch should be should form a 90 degrees angle with the satin stitch on top. So if this basically means when before you start, regardless if you're stitching this pattern or something else, you have to think, okay, how do I want to lay my satin stitch? If I want to lay it like this horizontally, then my padding has to be vertical. Yeah, so for example, in my case here, this short demonstration, sorry for this, like I used the wrong pen, and see how it bleeded. It's horrible, sorry for that. So lesson number one, use the right tools. Now my padding here is laid horizontally because I wanted my satin stitch to be vertical. In our case here, the letter, because my satin stitch is horizontally, for example here, then the padding has to be vertical, worked vertical. In this case here, as you see, this is the satin stitch is vertical and then the padding under it is horizontal. So this is an important rule to follow when stitching this beautiful raised stitch. And now let me show you a small trick, because some people asked also in the group, and I get asked often this question: how do you stitch the satin stitch? How do you keep the straight lines? That is the problem with the satin stitch. First of all, I am using one strand. If you're just beginning, using one strand of thread when creating satin stitch is the best, because it's a bit easier. So of course you can use more than one thread, but it's a bit tricky. There are tips there, tricks to get it right, but for this pattern I used one strand, and for this demonstration I will use one strand too. Now the reason I stitched this padding in pink is for this video live purpose only, just for you to see it better, but here the padding under is stitched with white too. And now let me show you this small trick I'm using to create these straight lines. So first of all, I'm starting from the middle of the shape I'm trying to fill with satin stitch, and then I work towards the extremities, and it's like the normal satin stitch. Now, in order to keep the line straight, what I do, and you'll have to use both hands for this, so I will just hold my thread in the direction I want, make sure this is a straight line, I hope it is, and then I just stab the fabric and I create my first stitch. Now, even if it's not perfect, it's still better than nothing. Now, this would be my first stitch. Then, what I'll do, I'll create parallel lines with this first one, all across this shape, because this is gonna be like my foundation, let's say. So I'll create these parallel lines using the same trick, because now, like when I create a few parallel lines all straight, it will be much easier to fill the gaps between with straight stitches. So I will probably not use this trick for the rest. Like, it's just the beginning, just the foundation. It's more like a divide and conquer approach, because indeed it's tricky to get it right. But this way, I promise you, you can't go wrong. This is the trick I'm using always. Like, to be honest, I use this trick, this small trick, when stitching needle painting projects as well, just to know where to place my next stitch. So as you see, these lines are parallel, are straight, so there is no doubt this is going well. I'll just go create these parallel lines in both sides, and then I will just fill in the gaps. Of course, you can use this trick for stitching the entire satin stitch, but you'll see, like, it's gonna be much easier than to fill these gaps and make sure they are straight. So this is basically the magic trick I'm using. I'm explaining it in I mean, if you purchase this pattern, the digital pattern, I explain it there too, but it's always nicer to see it live. So see guys, it's very clear, these lines are straight, and now I go and I'll do the same on the other side. Of course, for the pattern, the floral alphabet, the size is a bit bigger than my sample here, but it's the same technique, so you can go wrong with this. I won't fill this, I mean, I just wanted to show you this small trick. I mean, I won't create the entire satin stitch, because it will take forever. This is, I mean, a really long process to fill this and make it nice, but it's totally worth it, because the raised shape will look amazing, will create this three-dimensional effect, which I love. So this is basically first stage. Now this is the part where you want to be sure the lines are straight, because this will give the tone for the entire work. Now with this satin stitch, padded satin stitch, like, even if they are not perfect, don't worry, because as you build up on top, you can fix it, you know. Like, I will post some videos when we're gonna start stitching the alphabet next week, and you'll see my lines weren't very straight in the beginning, but as I built up, I mean, it looks gorgeous. You can't say it's not straight. So this is basically the process and the trick, and now you just go and fill all these gaps and build the beautiful satin stitch on top of it. And now it's much easier, you see, to just go straight, because you already have the foundation. So this was the trick, and it will take a while, I'm not gonna lie, to get to this. But this is the technique I applied here. Now the only difference is, as you see, I have a different direction. So here my satin stitch is vertical, here is horizontal, here is again vertical. So you'll just have to be careful to remember the 90 degrees rule between the padding, the layer under the satin stitch. So this is the small trick I wanted to show you today. Thank you for watching. You'll be soon able to join my free email class if you like to learn how to stitch this kind of projects. Also, you can download the entire alphabet from my Etsy shop. You can use the code MAKER20 for a 20% discount. Happy stitching, guys, and until next time, take care.